Ricotta and spinach, sage butter ravioli. So in this video, we're making the starter for our Valentine's 3-course menu. Start by getting your flour. I'm using a fine pasta flour here. Tipo 00 flour is great, but you can also use plain flour as well. Make a well in the flour and crack your eggs into it. When making pasta, a good ratio to go off is usually 100 grams of flour to 1 egg per person. So this is going to make a bit more than we actually need, but it's good to have a little bit extra just in case something goes wrong. Add a pinch of salt in, then whisk the eggs together with a fork and slowly work in the flour until it comes together, then start to use your hands. So as I was making this, I realized that I was actually using small eggs, which meant the dough was a bit too dry, so I added an extra yolk, along with a bit of egg white gradually and a couple of tiny splashes of water until I was happy with how the dough was. If your dough happens to be a little bit too wet, just gradually add in small amounts of flour until you're happy. Then knead the dough by pushing into it with your palms, then bringing it back over itself. Repeat this for 5 to 10 minutes. I did about 8 or 9 minutes here until the dough becomes a lovely smooth ball. Then wrap it in cling film and let it rest for at least 45 minutes to an hour, or you could make it the day in advance and store it in the fridge until you're ready to use it. Now for the filling of the ravioli, wilt down spinach. I used an 80-gram bag here and gave it a good season with salt. Set that aside, then cook down shallots on a low to medium heat for around 5 minutes in some butter, then go in with garlic and hit that with salt and pepper and cook those for a few more minutes until they are soft and translucent. They shouldn't be picking up too much colour here. Add those to the spinach along with the zest of a lemon, and you can add as much ricotta as you like to your preference. I used 2 tablespoons and that was good for me. Mix it up and then give it a taste and adjust the salt and pepper. You really want to make sure it's seasoned well. Then wrap that up with cling film and store it in the fridge until you're ready to use it. You can definitely make this a day in advance, but it's always a little bit better if you make it on the day you're going to cook it. Now back to the pasta. If you've had it in the fridge overnight, you might want to leave it out at room temperature just so it's a bit easier to work with. Then get your pasta dough, half it and keep the other half wrapped up so it doesn't go dry. Lightly flour your rolling pin and dough and start to roll it out. Fold it over itself so it becomes a rectangle, and at this point you could use the pasta machine to incrementally roll it out to the thinnest setting. If you don't have one, just do what I'm doing and roll it out as thin as you can with a rolling pin. To be honest, the pasta is a little bit too thick, so I rolled the pasta a little bit too thick. So today I tried to roll it a little bit thinner, and this is how it's looking. So this is now filming the next day where I had a little bit of pasta dough left over, and I was a little bit disappointed because I knew that I could make it better. So today we're rolling out as thin as possible. Doing the same process, just really trying to roll it out as thin as I could. I got it to a decent level where it was beginning to tear in some places, so I didn't really want to risk taking it any further. Ideally, you want it so thin that you can see your fingers through the pasta. You can just about see mine here. If you're using a pasta machine, you should be able to achieve it. Then I just used a cookie cutter to cut out the ravioli pieces and stored them under a kitchen towel. Now to put the ravioli together, put your filling in the center of the pasta and egg wash all around it, then carefully seal the ravioli on top, making sure the air is pushed out of it and pushing down to stick it together. Now you've got your ravioli. We're going to make a sage butter because it's easy and it's delicious. This would also go really well with a tomato sauce, so feel free to pair it with whatever sauce that you like. So simply melt down butter, add sage leaves. I also added in some thyme sprigs for a little bit more flavour and cooked them on a low to medium heat. Then salt your pasta water and get your pasta. This is actually the first batch that I made, so you'll notice they're a little bit thick. Anyway, boil those for around 3 to 4 minutes. I ended up doing it closer to 4 minutes. You could also make an extra ravioli just to test the times. Then strain the ravioli and add it to the sage butter. Give it a really good mix. Plate those up nicely with the sage leaves, drizzle over the butter and grate over Parmesan cheese. And there you have a spinach and ricotta ravioli with a lovely sage butter. Remade the pasta. It's looking a lot better. I'm a lot happier with it. Looks amazing, smells amazing. Just did the sage butter the same as yesterday. Lovely fresh pasta. That's so much better. Yes, that's the one. Pasta's thinner. It's a lot better. It's not as thick. It's not as chewy. That filling's amazing. And that spinach, that creamy ricotta, the lovely little shallots that we cooked down, made them nice and sweet. It's garlicky, it's seasoned really well. Lovely little starter, and then we have that sage butter on top which finishes it all off. It's a nice light starter. You could even make that a main if you wanted to, just double up the portions. I'm so happy that worked out. Definitely use a pasta machine if you can, otherwise roll it as thin as possible. I managed to get it thin enough so that it wasn't too chewy on the sides. That's so good. Yes, thank you so much for watching. I'm glad this managed to work out. If you like the video, please give it a like. If you want to subscribe, please do. I've got lots more content coming, so stay tuned.